everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review for Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. So after losing her job, Louisa Clark is desperate for employment because she is her family's sole source of income. So she takes a job that is completely out of her comfort zone as caretaker for a quadriplegic man, and it ends up being much more than she bargained for. The writing of this book was really simple yet really beautiful. I think that it used like as few words as possible to tell the story, but it told the story really effectively because of that. And I did really enjoy the writing for the most part. My one issue with it was that all of it is told from Louisa's perspective, except for there were like 3 or 4 chapters that were told from different characters' perspectives. And I didn't really like that because I found it to be kind of jarring. The inconsistency just made me kind of fall out of the story for a little bit, and it confused me at first. I was trying to kind of figure out who was speaking, and I just kind of got lost a little bit. So I wasn't really a big fan of the alternating perspectives, because I think if you're going to do that, you need to do it a lot, or you need to just do it not at all. Not just a little bit. That was just a little bit meh for me. And honestly, it was kind of unnecessary. Like, you could have gotten, I understand the author was trying to show you a certain perspective on the events, but I think you could have gotten the same story if it were from Louisa's perspective. So it just felt like it was kind of out of place. Now, as far as characters go, I really enjoyed Louisa. I don't know if it's just because I was in a similar situation to hers recently, but in the beginning I felt like I really could identify with her, and I found her to be super quirky, super fun, and kind of annoying, but that made her really realistic, and I think that's why she felt like a real character to me. She was super aloof too, and really did not know what she wanted to do with her life, which I thought was realistic. I mean, when you're 20-something years old, you don't know what you want to do with your life, and it's really scary, and I think you kind of saw her come to terms with that in this book. Will is the quadriplegic man that she ends up taking care of, and he was a really hard character to love, but that was very obvious from the beginning that that was intentional. But you really couldn't help but love him, and you couldn't help but feel sorry for him, not because he's in a wheelchair, but because of how hard of a time he's having accepting that, and how hard he, like, how badly he wants to be out of that chair, and you know that there's really no hope for that, so you feel bad about that. Will is very clearly stuck in his own life, and it's just kind of heartbreaking to see because there's nothing that anyone can do that can fix it. Honestly, his character just really made me want to live my life, which was a huge motif through this book, but I'll get to that more when I talk about plot. The side characters in this book were for the most part kind of annoying. The only side character that I didn't hate, I didn't like Louisa's boyfriend. The only characters that I didn't really hate was side character was her sister. I did really like her sister. In the beginning she kind of was meh, but then she really ended up growing on me, as well as her father. I liked her father. Her mother, I was just like, didn't really like her mom. I loved the plot because it didn't just focus on romance. It really brought in the idea of, I mean, what are you waiting for? Why are you just going to sit on your phone and do nothing? Go out and live your life. You have the chance to do these amazing things, so go and do them rather than just sitting at home and doing nothing. I really liked that that was such a central part of the plot. I thought that was really strong. I also really liked how it dealt with really important issues that are kind of taboo. You don't want to talk about these things, and this book brings them up and makes you talk about them. So it really starts conversation, which I think is great, even though you might not agree with how it deals with the things. It's one of those things that not everyone is going to be comfortable with, and everyone has opposing thoughts on it because it's such an ethical issue. But I think that having it brought into the book was fantastic because it needs to be talked about. And I'm not going to go into what it is because that's definitely a spoiler. Now, I really liked the relationship between the two characters. You could really see how strong their friendship was, and then as it developed, you saw that, and you could really, it was believable. However, I had a hard time with my own relationship with the characters. I just, for some reason, could not connect to them. I just Everyone was telling me I was gonna cry when I read this book, and I didn't. I didn't feel that emotionally connected to the story or the characters to have any real, like, emotion. Not even that I didn't cry, so that means that I didn't think it was sad. I thought it was sad, but it didn't really elicit that strong of emotions from me. I'm not a big crier anyway, so I wasn't really judging it off of the fact that I didn't cry, but just the fact that I didn't even feel like the urge to cry. This book didn't really make me feel a lot, and I think that's because the characters just didn't really connect with me, and I don't know why. But I didn't watch any, not any reviews. I didn't watch any trailers for the movie until I finished reading this book. And when I watched the trailers, I just felt like I fell in love with the story. I felt so connected to the actors and how they were portraying the characters. I was watching the trailers and I got more emotion in those 2 minutes and like 30 seconds than I did in the whole of reading this book, which I feel like this is going to be one of those rare instances where I prefer the movie to the book. It was just, I had tons of trouble connecting to the characters, and I just think that the actors, like, really connected with me, so I just think I'm going to like the movie better. So overall, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. It didn't quite live up to my expectations. I thought it was really good, but people say how fantastic it was, and that kind of just set me up for failure, I think, and I just found that the characters, I didn't get a real connection with them, so it was kind of hard for me to really love this book. I think it's a really great book, but I just couldn't fall in love with it. Now, I have a couple of spoilery things to talk about, so if you haven't read this book yet, then go and read it, and then come back and watch this. So, spoilery things. Spoilers are kind of everywhere, and you don't realize that until you read the book. Just the fact that the next book is called Me After You, or Just After You, that's a spoiler. You know that Will is gonna die. And people keep on telling you, oh, you're gonna cry, it's gonna be so sad. That's also a spoiler, because I knew the second that the whole suicide thing came up, and like how he wanted to do the assisted suicide thing, and she was trying to convince him not to. I knew the second that that came up, because people had been telling me I was going to cry, that he was going to do it, which kind of sucked. It took away from my reading experience, because I knew how it was going to end, and I think just not knowing would have been so great. But I didn't get that. But that's really all I have to talk about for spoilery things, just the fact that spoilers are everywhere, and it was kind of disappointing for me because I knew what was going to happen because of how, like, people had been saying it was heartbreaking and everything. So yeah, my battery is gonna die. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know if you have read this book, your thoughts on it, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!